Chosen one, pause right here and let your spirit settle for a moment. What heaven noticed about you recently was not small, and it was not ordinary. There was a moment very few people understood, yet God watched it with complete clarity. You thought it passed quietly. You thought no one saw the cost. But what happened in that private battle said more about your heart than years of public words ever could. You have been carrying a question in silence. Why did that moment affect me so deeply? Why did I walk away feeling both strong and wounded at the same time? Part of you still wonders if you should have said more. Part of you still wonders if you should have defended yourself harder, pushed back faster, or exposed the truth more clearly. But heaven is not replaying that moment the way your mind has been replaying it. There was a scene, and you know exactly which one I mean. Someone crossed a line. Someone reached for your peace. Someone expected a reaction out of you, and they were almost certain they knew what button to push. You felt the heat rise. You felt the pressure in your chest. And, for a brief moment, you realized you had everything you needed to strike back, to cut deep, to say the one thing that would have left a mark they would never forget. You could have done it. That is what makes this so important. You were not powerless. You were not confused. You were not too weak to respond. You saw what was happening, and you understood more than they thought you did. You could have opened your mouth and turned the entire room upside down. You could have answered message for message, wound for wound, and humiliation for humiliation. But something in you stopped. Something in you refused to become the very atmosphere that had tried to swallow you. And after it was over, you were left alone with your thoughts. You asked yourself if you had done the right thing. You wondered if silence made you look small. You wondered if restraint made them think they had won. That is the part no one talks about. The quiet after the test, the long walk back into yourself, the moment where your body is calm on the outside, but inside you are sorting through disappointment, grief, anger, and the strange ache that comes from choosing peace when your flesh wanted vindication. Chosen one. This is where many of you have been misreading your own story. You have been thinking that every painful moment means you missed your chance to stand up for yourself. You have been telling yourself that because you did not unleash everything you felt, maybe you failed the test. But heaven says you have been reading that moment backwards. What looked like you holding back was actually something far more significant. It was your spirit refusing to let pain take command of your mouth. That matters more than you realize. Many people can appear calm when they have no power. Many people look patient only because they do not know what to say. Many people keep quiet because fear keeps them small. But that is not what happened with you. Your silence did not come from confusion. It came from discernment. It came from the deep inner knowing that if you let your wound speak for you, even truth would come out carrying poison. That is why this message is finding you now. Heaven wants to correct the story you have been telling yourself. You did not lose because you stayed measured. You did not shrink because you refused chaos. You did not betray your own dignity by walking away from a reaction that would have lowered you. In that moment, God saw that your spirit was stronger than the impulse to prove yourself to people who were committed to misunderstanding you. Some of you have lived this pattern for years. You are the one who feels everything deeply. You are the one who notices shifts in tone, hidden motives, and the tension others pretend is not there. You walk into a room and sense what is off before anyone says a word. You hear what people mean, not just what they say. And because of that, life has often felt heavier for you. It has felt like you are constantly carrying emotional weather that other people do not even admit exists. You have also been the one who gave more grace than most people deserved. You kept extending understanding. You kept making room. You kept hoping that if you stayed gentle long enough, people would eventually treat your heart with the same care you offered theirs. But again and again, you learned a painful lesson. Not everyone knows how to honor a soft heart. Some people study it only so they can test its limits. Some people confuse kindness with weakness because they have never seen strength wrapped in mercy. That is why your exhaustion has been so real. It is not only the pain of what others did, it is the weariness that comes from constantly having to decide who gets access to your heart, who gets distance, and who gets no more explanations. You are tired of being the bigger person without ever being seen. You are tired of holding your peace while others keep performing their noise. And some nights, if you are honest, you have wondered whether being this aware, this sincere, and this open has made your life harder than it should be. Listen carefully. Heaven is not asking you to become easier to wound. Heaven is not asking you to become a doormat in the name of being spiritual. A clean heart does not mean no boundaries. A gentle spirit does not mean unlimited access. Peace is not permission for disrespect. You are allowed to leave. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to step back from people who keep trying to bait you into becoming less than who God called you to be. The revelation is not that you tolerated harm. The revelation is that you did not need hatred to protect yourself. There is a difference between people-pleasing and holy restraint. People-pleasing is fear wearing a smile. Holy restraint is strength under command. People-pleasing abandons truth to keep everyone comfortable. Holy restraint refuses to speak from injury even when truth is fully available. One comes from insecurity, the other comes from authority. And heaven wants you to understand which one was operating in you, because if you mislabel it, you will keep dishonoring the very maturity God is trying to show you. So let me say this clearly. What happened recently was not just about your attitude. It was about your inner government. It was about what takes over when you are under pressure. It was about whether pain could hijack your spirit and turn you into a weapon against yourself. And what God saw in that moment was not passivity. He saw control. He saw a soul that felt the fire, recognized the injustice, and still would not let darkness borrow its voice. If this is speaking directly to the battle nobody else saw, type clear heart below. Let that be your sign of agreement. Let that be your witness that you know exactly what moment heaven is bringing back to your memory right now. Because this message is not for the casual listener. It is for the one who has walked away from a private battlefield and has been quietly asking God, "Did you see what that cost me?" And the answer is yes. He saw all of it. But there is another layer here, and this is where it starts to go deeper. God did not only see what you refused to do, He saw why you refused to do it. He saw the place in you that still values truth more than revenge. He saw the place in you that still fears becoming cold more than it fears being misunderstood. He saw the hidden quality that makes a chosen heart different from a reactive one, and that is the very reason this moment carried so much weight in the spirit. You may have thought heaven was only measuring behavior. It was not. Heaven was reading motive. Heaven was testing whether your pain would become your master or whether your spirit had grown strong enough to hold a boundary without becoming bitter. That is the mystery. That is the thing most people around you cannot perceive. They only saw the outside. They only saw an attitude they could label. But God saw the whole structure underneath it, and that is why this moment was never ordinary. And there is one more reason this message is being framed the way it is. The mention of Michael is not random. It points to a level of authority that does not need chaos to prove it has power. It points to a kind of strength that knows when to act, when to stand down, and when not to let contempt take the lead. Stay with me, because once you understand why that matters, you will see that your recent silence was not empty at all. It was a revelation of who you are becoming. Chosen one, now we move into the part most people miss. The real test was never whether you could stay quiet. The deeper test was whether your inner world could stay clear while pressure was trying to distort it. Anyone can appear peaceful when nothing is touching their pride, but when you are misunderstood, provoked, or treated unfairly, your true condition begins to surface. Some of you have felt mentally crowded lately. Your spirit knows what is right, but your thoughts keep circling old conversations, unfinished questions, and words you almost said. You are not searching for more noise. You are trying to return to clarity, because clarity helps you recognize what deserves your energy and what deserves your release. This is also why a simple support tool may fit naturally into this season. It is called the Genius Song. It is a 7-minute audio experience that the product creator designed around brain entrainment and gamma-focused listening. The product describes it as a tool to support clearer focus, intuition, and a stronger sense of mental flow during a short daily listening session. You do not have to force anything. You do not have to turn it into another heavy routine. If it feels relevant, you can find the link connected to this message and look at it for yourself. Listen with headphones, close your eyes, and give yourself 7 quiet minutes. Then return to the deeper work that matters, because no tool can replace discernment, character, or the choices you make under pressure. Now come back to what happened with you. Your restraint was not empty. It was governed strength. There is a difference between having no response and choosing not to release the wrong response. You had words. You had evidence. You had emotion. Yet, something in you knew that being right was not enough reason to become reckless. Weakness says, I cannot act. Maturity says, I can act, but I will not let anger decide how. Fear says, I must stay silent because I am afraid of losing them. Discernment says, I can speak when necessary, but I will not perform for people who only want a reaction. That is the kind of strength heaven can trust, with greater influence. For a long time, you wanted immediate proof. You wanted people to know the truth now. You wanted the record corrected while the wound was still fresh. But something has shifted in you. You are beginning to understand that truth does not become more true because you shout it louder, and dignity does not become stronger because everyone agrees with you. This is one reason the story of David and Saul matters here. David had opportunities to harm the man who was pursuing him. Human emotion could have justified retaliation. Yet he refused to let access become permission. He understood that having the ability to strike was not the same as having the authority to do whatever pain demanded. That is the pattern. Power without restraint becomes destruction. Discernment without mercy becomes suspicion. Truth without self-control becomes a weapon. But when strength is governed by character, it becomes authority that does not need to advertise itself. You are learning that lesson in real time. You can see the truth without turning cruel. You can recognize manipulation without becoming obsessed with exposing every manipulator. You can know when someone is wrong without making their downfall your assignment. That is not indifference. That is freedom. But this message is not giving you permission to become arrogant. That would be another trap. The goal is not to become proud of being unreachable. The goal is to become wise about access. A guarded heart is not the same as a hardened heart. One protects what is sacred. The other refuses love altogether. God is not shaping you into someone who never feels. He is shaping you into someone whose feelings are not the highest authority. Anger can speak, but it does not get the final vote. Hurt can be acknowledged, but it does not write the next chapter. Fear can enter the room, but it does not choose the direction. This is where your recent test becomes more serious. What if the moment was not mainly about the person who provoked you? What if it was revealing what kind of person you would become once more influence, more opportunity, and more responsibility entered your hands? Character is often tested in small rooms before it is trusted in larger ones. You thought the issue was one conversation. Heaven was looking at capacity. You thought the issue was whether they respected you. Heaven was looking at whether power could pass through your hands without turning into revenge. You thought you were simply deciding whether to answer. But something deeper was being measured. That is why being right was not the finish line. You can be right and still respond from ego. You can possess facts and still use them to humiliate. You can expose truth and still damage your own peace. The question was not only whether you knew what happened. The deeper question was what you would become now that you knew. You are being called into something better. Learn the lesson without worshipping the wound. Keep the wisdom without carrying the poison. Remember the pattern without forcing every new person to pay for what an old person did. That is how a cycle breaker thinks. You stop inherited pain from becoming inherited behavior. And that is why your heart matters so much here. Your attitude was only the visible layer. Underneath it was a decision about who would govern you. Would the insult govern you? Would the memory govern you? Would the need to be understood govern you? Or would you remain anchored enough to choose your response? You are not being asked to become passive. There will be moments when you need to speak clearly. There will be moments when silence would become avoidance. There will be moments when a boundary must be spoken out loud. But even then, the goal remains the same. Speak from clarity, not from the need to wound. And now another question opens. Why would heaven care so much about your response before the next level of responsibility arrives? Because influence amplifies what is already inside. More opportunity does not automatically create character. More visibility does not automatically create wisdom. It simply makes your inner patterns louder. And there is another layer waiting ahead. The reason Michael matters is not because you need a dramatic story about heaven watching every move. The reason is that Michael represents a pattern of disciplined authority in the biblical tradition. Strength does not become trustworthy merely because it is strong. It becomes trustworthy when it knows what it will not do. In the next part, you will see why that pattern connects directly to your heart. You will see why discernment without contempt matters, why recognizing darkness without becoming dark is a rare form of maturity, and why the person heaven can trust is not always the loudest person in the room. Do not rush past this. The next revelation changes the meaning of the entire test. You thought heaven was asking whether you could survive what happened. But the deeper question was whether you could see clearly, remain clean inside, and still carry authority without using it to destroy the people who revealed their true nature to you. Chosen one, now the meaning of Michael becomes clearer. In the biblical tradition, Michael is associated with immense authority, but the lesson is not spectacle. The lesson is restraint. Power does not become holy because it is loud. Power becomes trustworthy when pride does not control how that power is used. There is a moment in the letter of Jude where Michael is presented as refusing reckless accusation. He did not need to prove himself through insult. He did not need chaos to demonstrate strength. That picture matters because it reveals something many people miss. Authority under control is greater than authority trying to impress everyone watching. That is why your recent attitude mattered. You could have answered with the same energy that came against you. You could have mirrored their disrespect and called it honesty. You could have used truth as a blade. But somewhere inside, you knew that if your response made you lose command of your own spirit, then winning the argument would still cost too much. This does not mean you must never confront anyone. There are moments when you speak. There are moments when you leave. There are moments when you refuse access completely. But none of those choices require hatred to become effective. Strength can protect without becoming cruel. You are learning how to recognize danger without becoming suspicious of everyone. You are learning how to remember the lesson without reliving the injury every morning. You are learning how to protect peace without turning comfort into an idol. This is maturity becoming part of your character. The world judges what it can see. People notice tone, posture, silence, and reaction. God sees deeper than appearance. He sees motive. He sees what your heart was trying to protect, what your pride wanted to prove, and what your spirit refused to become when pressure gave you a reason to change. This is why a pure heart is not the same as a naive heart. Purity does not mean blindness. It does not mean pretending everyone has good intentions. It means you can see what is wrong without allowing what is wrong to rewrite who you are. You can notice manipulation and still remain free from obsession. Some of you thought spiritual maturity meant never feeling anger. That is not the lesson. Anger can alert you that something crossed a line. The danger begins when anger demands ownership of your choices. You can feel it. You can learn from it. You can let it reveal where a boundary belongs, but you do not have to give it the throne. This is where many strong people become trapped. They survive something painful, then build their identity around never being fooled again. Discernment becomes suspicion. Boundaries become walls. Wisdom becomes contempt. They escape the person who hurt them, but remain controlled by the fear of being hurt that way again. Chosen one, that is not freedom. Heaven is leading you beyond survival. The goal is not to become impossible to reach. The goal is to become difficult to manipulate because you are clear, grounded, and no longer desperate for approval. You can stay warm without staying available to everyone. This is the false summit many people mistake for healing. They think growth means caring less, but sometimes coldness is only pain wearing armor. Real strength can remain open while still knowing exactly where the gate belongs. Real healing does not need you to become harder than the thing that hurt you. That is what God saw forming in you, not perfection, not someone who never feels shaken. He saw someone learning to discern without becoming cynical. He saw someone learning to say no without needing revenge. He saw someone who could recognize darkness and refuse to let that darkness become a blueprint. And that is why God saw your heart clearly carries so much weight. Maybe you walked away. Maybe you delayed your reply. Maybe you chose not to expose everything you knew. But underneath that choice was a battle over identity, and that is what heaven was measuring. This is also why clarity matters in this season. When the mind stays overloaded, old pain can sound like present truth. Fear can sound like intuition. Anger can sound like discernment. That is why short periods of quiet focus can be useful, because they can help you notice what is actually yours to carry. The point is not to escape your life. No audio can choose forgiveness for you. No routine can build your boundaries for you. No outside tool can replace prayer, wisdom, or character. But a few intentional minutes of mental stillness may support clearer decisions when your mind has been crowded by old noise. And now we arrive at something deeper. If heaven is teaching you to see clearly without becoming cruel, what is that preparing you to carry? Why would this inner discipline matter before greater influence, responsibility, or opportunity arrives? Because the person who cannot govern reaction can eventually misuse whatever power enters their hands. Influence magnifies what is already present. If resentment is hidden inside, influence gives resentment more reach. If insecurity is hidden inside, influence gives insecurity a larger stage. But if restraint, discernment, and humility are growing inside, then influence can become something that serves instead of something that consumes. This is where your story stops being only about the people who hurt you. They may have been part of the test, but they are not the purpose of your life. The real question is who you are becoming after the test ends. Will you spend the next chapter proving them wrong? Or become so aligned that proving anything feels unnecessary? This is what quiet authority feels like. It does not need to dominate the room. It does not need everyone to agree. It knows when to speak, and it knows when silence carries more dignity than another explanation. It is not weak. It is simply no longer controlled by the need to be seen as right. But there is still one loop that has not closed. Why would heaven allow a test that touched such a sensitive place in you right before this shift? Why would the pressure arrive through people who knew where your old reactions lived? Because the test was revealing whether your old wound still had authority over your future, and what comes next is where the entire message turns. The climax is not that you stayed calm. The climax is what that calm revealed. It showed that you are becoming capable of holding truth without weaponizing it, power without abusing it, and discernment without letting suspicion poison what is trying to enter your life. That is why this season cannot be understood through revenge. It has to be understood through readiness. You are not being prepared to defeat everyone who doubted you. You are being prepared to carry more without losing yourself. And next, you will see what heaven was testing when you knew you were right, yet refused to let being right become permission to become cruel. Chosen one, this is the turning point. Everything before this has been preparing you to see one truth clearly. The test was never asking whether you could feel anger. It was asking whether anger could become your ruler. The pressure was real. The disrespect was real. But neither was allowed to become your identity. You felt the betrayal. You recognized the pattern. You understood what was happening. And for once, you did not confuse awareness with permission to retaliate. You saw the truth without needing to turn truth into a weapon. That changed the meaning of the entire moment. Maybe part of you wanted vindication immediately. You wanted the truth exposed while everyone was still watching. You wanted the person who crossed you to understand the cost of what they did. That desire was human. But something deeper began to rise, because you realized revenge would keep your heart tied to what you were trying to escape. So you made a different choice. You allowed anger to exist without letting anger lead. You allowed disappointment to speak without giving disappointment authority. You kept the lesson, but refused to build your future around the wound. This is where your attitude became a revelation. God saw your heart clearly, not because you smiled while hurting, not because you pretended everything was fine, not because you stayed available to people who disrespected you. He saw your heart because you learned how to protect yourself without needing hatred to make the boundary strong. You could say no, you could walk away, you could stop explaining, you could remove access, but you did not need to become cruel to prove that you were serious. You were no longer trying to win by becoming more dangerous than the person who hurt you. This is why your attitude carried so much weight. It revealed the kind of person you are becoming when influence increases. Anyone can seem humble before they hold power. Anyone can speak gently before they know they are right. But when you possess truth, leverage, and the opportunity to strike, restraint reveals character. That is what heaven was measuring. What would you do once you knew you were right? Would you humiliate them? Would you use their mistake to feed your ego? Or would you carry truth with enough discipline that you could protect your dignity without destroying theirs? This is the place where cycles either repeat or end. Pain enters one generation, then becomes behavior in the next. Rejection becomes control. Betrayal becomes suspicion. Humiliation becomes cruelty. But a cycle breaker interrupts that transfer. The pain reaches you, and instead of passing it forward, you force it to stop. That is why this was bigger than one disagreement. You were deciding what would continue through you. You were deciding whether the wound would become inheritance. You were deciding whether someone else would someday receive the pain that another person once placed inside your hands. And you chose differently. You did not erase what happened. You simply refused to turn suffering into permission to spread suffering. You became the wall where the old pattern ended. This is the identity shift. You are not merely the person who survived. You are becoming the person who can carry authority without needing revenge. You are becoming the person who can recognize deception without becoming obsessed with deception. You are becoming the person who can feel deeply and still make clear decisions. That is the quiet warrior. That is the watchman. The watchman does not panic at every sound. The watchman observes. The watchman discerns. The watchman knows the difference between a real threat and old fear echoing through the night. And this is where the message becomes practical. Why did this happen? Because pressure revealed what still had access to your inner world. What did the test reveal? It revealed that you are becoming capable of feeling pain without surrendering your direction to pain. Who are you becoming? Someone who can carry more without losing the heart that made you different. Hold those three answers: why, what, and who. Why? Because pressure exposed the place that needed governance. What? Because restraint revealed your growth. Who? Because you are becoming a cycle breaker who can carry truth, boundaries, and influence without becoming consumed by ego. You do not need another mystery before moving forward. You do not need to keep replaying the scene. Your task now is to protect the clarity you gained and stop feeding mental noise that pulls you back into arguments that have already ended. This is where many chosen ones realize the next battle is internal. The conversation may be over, but the mind keeps reopening it. You rehearse the reply you never sent. You imagine how you could have explained yourself better. You rebuild the scene and give yourself a stronger ending. But clarity begins when you stop asking old moments to give you new peace. Peace does not come from perfecting yesterday. It comes from becoming present enough to choose today with wisdom. That is why tools that support intentional focus can become useful when they are placed in the right position. Remember the brief mention earlier about the genius song? It was not introduced to replace prayer, discernment, or character. The point was simple. When mental noise is high, even a strong person can struggle to hear the difference between fear, memory, intuition, and genuine clarity. The product creator presents the Genius Song as a 7-minute audio designed around brain entrainment and gamma-focused listening. The claim is that this listening experience may support focus, intuition, and a stronger sense of mental flow. It is not the source of your identity. It is simply positioned as a tool that may help create a short daily space for clearer thinking. That distinction matters. You are not buying a new spirit. You are not purchasing wisdom. You are not outsourcing your decisions. You are choosing whether a structured 7-minute listening practice could support the mental stillness you already know you need. And for someone in your season that can connect with the lesson naturally, you have spent enough time reacting to other people. You have spent enough time replaying old scenes. You have spent enough energy trying to decode every motive around you. What you need now is not more stimulation. You need a cleaner signal. That is the seed. Clearer signal, cleaner response. Cleaner response, stronger boundaries. Stronger boundaries, less emotional leakage. And when your mind is not crowded by every old voice, you can hear your own convictions with greater steadiness. This is why the next step is not about proving anything to anyone. It is about strengthening the inner environment from which your future choices will be made. You already saw what happened when pressure came. You already saw that your heart did not collapse into revenge. Now the question becomes different. What could happen if the same self-control that protected your heart also became the foundation for greater clarity, stronger focus, and wiser decisions in the season ahead? That is where we go next. Not back into the wound, not back into the argument, forward into the life that requires the version of you this test just revealed. Chosen one. Now we complete the circle. The test showed you something important. Your strength is not measured by how loudly you can respond. It is measured by how clearly you can choose when pressure tries to choose for you. And that same principle applies to the way you protect your mind, your focus, and the direction of your next season. Earlier, I mentioned the Genius Song as a simple 7-minute listening tool. The reason it fits this moment is not because any audio can replace wisdom. It cannot. You have been learning to create space between what happens to you and how you respond. That space is where discernment grows. The product creator describes the Genius Song as a brain entrainment audio built around gamma-focused listening. They claim it may support focus, intuition, and mental flow when used with headphones. Judge those claims for yourself and never treat an audio track as a substitute for sound judgment, prayer, rest, or professional care when you need it. Think about the deeper connection. Your battle was never only with another person. Your battle was with noise. Old conversations became noise. Fear became noise. The need to be understood became noise. And when that noise filled your mind, it became harder to separate what was happening now from what had already happened before. That is why a short, daily ritual can matter. 7 minutes will not magically change your identity or erase your problems, but intentional stillness can remind you that you are no longer living in constant reaction. You are choosing where your attention belongs. The creator points to Dr. Robert Lake and references MIT, Princeton, and Harvard when explaining the product. Those references are part of its presentation. The practical question is simpler. Does this practice help you become more deliberate with your attention? The experience is simple. You put on headphones, you close your eyes, you listen for 7 minutes. There is no complicated ritual. It is designed for an ordinary day when your mind feels crowded. The current offer is presented as a one-time payment of $39. The creator compares that with recurring meditation apps, courses that can cost $100 or more, and retreats costing several $100s. It is positioned as a one-time tool rather than another monthly commitment. The offer includes 4 digital bonuses: the Genius Child Guide, a classic book, a guided visualization, and a 5-habit infographic are presented together as $80 in additional value. There is also a 90-day guarantee. The offer says you can email for a full refund if it is not for you, and that you may keep all 4 bonuses. Read the terms for yourself before deciding, because your choice should come from clarity, not pressure. You just spent this whole journey learning not to let urgency control you. So do not abandon that wisdom now. Look at the information. Decide whether it fits you. Then choose calmly. Waiting can still have a cost when you already know your attention needs care. But this is not fear of missing out. It is about deciding whether you are ready to become more intentional with the attention you already possess. The product material says the authentic version should be accessed through the official link connected with this message, and warns against copies on Amazon, YouTube, or Spotify. I cannot verify every copy that may exist. If you choose to explore it, use the official link provided here and review the details carefully. You do not need to rush. Ask one honest question. Would 7 intentional minutes support the clarity you are already trying to build? If yes, the official link is in the description and pinned comment for you to review. Now leave the product there, because the greater revelation was never about a tool, it was about you. You discovered that your peace does not depend on someone finally understanding you. Your boundaries do not need anger to become real. Your dignity does not need an audience. The next version of you will explain less. Not because you have become cold. You have learned that clarity does not need endless defense. You will notice when a conversation has stopped being productive, and you will walk away without spending days convincing yourself that leaving was allowed. You will stop confusing peace with passivity. Peace can close a door. Peace can say no. Peace can refuse another argument. Peace can love someone from a distance. The difference is that peace does not need hatred to keep the boundary standing. This is the first stage, detachment. You are separating your identity from the reactions of people around you. Their approval is becoming less powerful. Their misunderstanding is becoming less frightening. You are learning that being misread does not mean you have lost yourself. Then comes clearing. Old mental clutter begins to lose its authority. You stop rehearsing every conversation. You stop treating every memory like a current emergency. You begin asking better questions. What is true now? What deserves my attention now? What response reflects the person I am becoming now? Then comes accelerated fulfillment. This is not a promise that everything becomes easy overnight. It means your energy stops being consumed by battles that never belonged to your future. You have more focus for what matters because less of your life is being spent reacting to what drains you. And then comes generational legacy. This is where the cycle breaker identity becomes real. The pain that reached you does not have to travel through you. The bitterness ends here. The habit of turning hurt into hurt ends here. Someone after you gets wisdom without inheriting the wound. Chosen one. That is why your recent attitude mattered so much. The world may have seen restraint. God saw a heart carrying power without corruption. The world may have called you quiet. Heaven saw someone becoming difficult to provoke and easier to trust with responsibility. So make this your prayer. God, give me strength without cruelty. Give me discernment without contempt. Give me boundaries without bitterness. Give me authority without ego. Teach me to recognize what is wrong without letting what is wrong rewrite my heart. Give me courage to speak when truth requires a voice. Give me wisdom to stay silent when ego only wants a stage. Help me release what no longer deserves space inside me. Help me protect peace without hiding from necessary confrontation. And when the next test comes, remind me who I became in this one. I do not have to return every wound. I do not have to answer every accusation. I do not have to chase every misunderstanding. I can remain clear, grounded, and faithful to what I know is right. If this message found the exact place you have been trying to understand, write "clear heart" in the comments. Let those words mark the decision you are making now. Not perfection, not pretending. Just a commitment to protect what pain was never allowed to steal from you. Share this with someone who has been questioning whether choosing peace made them weak. Subscribe if you want more messages about discernment, identity, boundaries, and spiritual growth. Remember the truth that brought us here. The world saw your attitude. God saw your heart.